Imagine waking up one morning, turning on the news, and hearing the words, "In an unprecedented twist, Vladimir Putin has just been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States." Wait, what? Did America just glitch? Somehow, somewhere, reality broke. Maybe it was a bizarre legal loophole. Maybe Elon Musk made a deal with a time-traveling lawyer. Or maybe the simulation running our universe had a very dark sense of humor. But for some reason, Vladimir Putin, former KGB agent, longtime Russian president, and global geopolitical wildcard, is now sitting in the Oval Office, sipping unsweetened tea and staring out at Washington, D.C., like it's a new chessboard. So, what happens next? First of all, the Constitution would explode. Not literally, but in the sense that nearly every rule about who can be president, like, say, being born in the U.S., was just casually bypassed. Half the country would scream about legality, the other half would scream about security, and Twitter would melt into pure chaos. Now, let's assume the legal details have somehow been handled. President Putin wastes no time. He replaces the White House furniture with heavy oak, the American flag gets a darker shade of red, and a portrait of Teddy Roosevelt mysteriously disappears, replaced by one of Peter the Great. Diplomacy? Oh boy. On day one, Putin calls a summit with China, North Korea, and a few strategic friends, just to say hi. NATO allies look around nervously. Canada starts building a polite but firm wall. Meanwhile, back in D.C., Congress is confused. Half the senators try to impeach him immediately, the other half ask for horse riding lessons. And the press conferences? Legendary. Instead of answering questions, Putin just raises one eyebrow and the reporter quietly leaves the room. But beyond the theatrics, America starts to change. Slowly, subtly, like vodka freezing in a too-cold freezer. The intelligence agencies get new uniforms. Oil pipelines are suddenly top priority. Dissent becomes discouraged, but only in a very calm, slightly terrifying way. Economically, things get interesting. The dollar stays strong, but billionaires are now invited to very private meetings at Camp David. Those who cooperate thrive. Those who don't, well, their companies just happen to undergo surprise audits from every agency at once. But here's the twist. For the first 6 months, everything looks weirdly stable. Gas prices drop, crime dips. People get nostalgic for strongmen. Approval ratings climb. A new show called The Apprentice Kremlin Edition becomes the #1 hit. And then comes the grand idea. A new U.S. Constitution, shorter, simpler, and with just one line. Trust your leader. At this point, a group of retired U.S. generals start whispering in closed rooms. States begin to mutter about secession, not just Texas this time. California and Vermont hold emergency votes. Meanwhile, Putin launches American renewal camps, where citizens are encouraged to learn self-discipline, history, and a very particular version of freedom. But not everyone buys it. Hackers, activists, rogue senators, and angry Reddit threads begin to stir. Whispers of rebellion spread through encrypted memes. The resistance doesn't wear camouflage. They wear Hawaiian shirts and carry laptops. Eventually, the tension explodes. A group of whistleblowers leaks evidence that the Supreme Court has been bribed with rare Siberian bears. Civil unrest surges. And just as things reach a boiling point, Putin holds a national address. Sitting behind an enormous desk, he looks into the camera and says only this: "I never wanted to rule America, but America asked me to lead." And then he vanishes. Gone, no helicopters, no farewell speeches, just an empty chair and a note that says, "Checkmate." The country wakes up the next day leaderless, but weirdly wiser. Congress reconvenes. Citizens pour into the streets, not to protest, but to rebuild. The experience becomes a myth, a cautionary tale, and a best-selling HBO miniseries. So, what if Putin became president of the United States? Maybe we'd learn that no matter how powerful the leader, a country's real strength lies not in the man in the chair, but in the people who decide what happens next.